Hello and good morning. Welcome to today's presentation on unified communications. Thanks everyone for joining us. We appreciate you're all busy people and thank you very much for taking time out of your day to join us on this presentation. I would also like to thank RHM for sponsoring this event today. So thank you very much, guys, and please do feel free to get in contact with your RHM account manager if you'd like to know more, or perhaps even arrange a demo for yourselves as well. So again, today what we're going to be talking about is the concept around unified communications and how this is a concept pretty much affecting every business in the UK now in terms of the way that we communicate with each other. So before I go into actually talk about exactly what it is, let's take you on a little bit of a different journey of where you've probably come from. So all businesses in the UK have probably had one of these guys. So this is your traditional on-premise telephone system. So these guys are very good at putting a box on the wall and attaching what we call BT ISDN or potentially even a SIP line into it. And that's how most businesses have delivered telephony services and telephone services into their organization for probably the last sort of 10 to 15 years. But what we've seen in the last sort of 5 years particularly is a massive spike in conferencing and what we might class as ad hoc or individual unified and conferencing services, such as Microsoft Teams, Skype for Business, Link, LoopUp. All of these applications are something that businesses have started to use as we've seen the adoption of conferencing, remote meetings and home working and in particularly field working come about. So this has kind of left businesses in a bit of a conundrum of where they're paying a lot of money for their on-premise telephony service, but they're also starting to consume these third-party services to enable those kind of things like video conferencing, instant messaging and conferencing. So that's brought to light these players. So these are the people that deliver what we probably see the best of both worlds. So they have a traditional PBX and a traditional telephone element, but they also bring in these elements of unified communications. And when we're talking about unified communications, it's really thinking about those other ways that we communicate with each other internally. So whether that's looking at people's presence, looking at their or conversing via an instant message, or potentially having a multi-party conference call. So why is it so important that businesses, especially in the UK, really start to take notice of implementing a unified communication service into their organization? Well, ultimately, it will help their organization create value. And these next few slides will hopefully cover off some of those areas that you might not have thought about of why it's so important to introduce unified communications into your organization. So firstly, how is unified communications going to build value for the employer? The employee. So I work for an organization. My employer offers us a unified communication service that I'm free to use. Well, not only does it actually help my work-life balance, which means that I'm very happy working for the company I work for, it allows me to completely control my own diary and I can choose where I work from. Obviously, at the moment, with being in a global pandemic, we have to be quite smart, and naturally that's raised the profile of home working. And again, this is a tool that will absolutely help with that. But ultimately, it comes down to me having a much better work-life balance, and I spend a lot less time in the car traveling and a lot more time at home with the family. So first of all, unified communications creates value for the employee by allowing me to have a much more flexible work-life balance. How does it help create value for my customers? Well, I'm often needed to present at customer meetings, and those customer meetings can be at the bottom of the country all the way up to the top. And I'm often faced with being in more than one place at the same time, and I'm sure we all get that from time to time. But what unified communications allows me to do is to say, right, I can choose a single meeting and attend that face to face, and then I might attend the other meetings remotely. So that's where I can send them a link. They'll click that link, join via a web browser, and then we can do that meeting via a video conference or potentially even a screen share as well. So it's not quite the same as being in the same room as them, but it's a very good halfway house. So again, it's a must. It allows me to be in lots of places at the same time. You then have something called the speed of communication. So if we take the example of I might be on a conference call with someone and they ask me a question that I don't quite know the answer to, well, what I can use is my unified communication tool to look at my colleagues or look at other members of staff within my organization and say, I know what, I don't know the answer to this, but I'm damn sure that Rebecca Love does know the answer to it. And then rather than finishing the conference call and sending an email to Rebecca Love and asking her the question that way, I just simply sent her a message saying, Any chance I could pull you into this call? Yeah, sure, please do. Brought her into the call and she answered the question straight away for the customer. So straight away that builds value for me in the sense that I don't need to do a load of follow-up work, and the customer got the answer they needed straight away. So it's all about delivering a much more speedy and responsive service to our customers, and we can do that because we have the ability to do that through our unified communications tool. Moving on, how does this create value for the business? Well, if I think about what we used to use before we implemented a true UC tool, we had a separate platform for instant messaging, we had a telephone system, and then we had another system for conferencing. So when we needed to bring external participants in from outside of organization. So our IT management had a bit of a headache on their hands. They had 3 separate communication tools that they needed to manage on top of all the traditional ones like Microsoft Exchange for email, etc. When we implemented our unified communication service, that effectively brought all of those 3 services into one. So overnight, it made an operational saving from an operational management perspective for our IT team. So there's another reason why you might want to consider it. But I think probably the biggest one, and this is probably the biggest effect that we saw straight away, and this was around expenses and the cost of travel. So I'm based in Bristol, but I do quite a lot of travel to London, and I travel from Bristol Parkway and I travel into London Paddington on a regular basis. Now that cost of that journey return at peak time is £224.20, and that the price of that is only really going to go up, let's face it. So if we break that down per mile, that's £1.10 per mile spent for that journey. Now, just to bring it into context of how expensive that is to travel, if I was to look at let's say a first class air travel ticket from London to Dubai, yes, it's £3,000, but per mile, it works out as better than half price than that travel to London. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is not how expensive it is to travel to London, but as an organisation, can we look at those meetings where potentially it was an internal meeting? Can I potentially do those via a video conference? Can I do that via a conference call? Can I do it via screen share? And what we implemented is everyone were encouraged to look into our diaries and go, right, what meetings can we do remotely? What meetings can we do where we stay at home and we benefit from that work-life balance? But also my employer massively benefits from not having to expense that hugely expensive rail fare as well. And then finally, if we think about if we can reduce the time spent on travel, this is also going to increase my productivity. At the end of the day, my employer pays me to do a job. When I have to travel for that job, my productivity goes down. You know, when we're at our desks, we're probably 90% productive. When we're on the train, that productivity probably drops down to 40, 50%. And when we're in a car, let's face it, all we can really do is the odd phone call and maybe, you know, when you stop at the services, you know, you can send the odd email or two, but that time is really, really unproductive. And that's why your productivity drops to below 20%. So it's thinking about how can we be more productive by staying at home or working from a different location without having to travel to the office to get your job done. So I hope those few slides there has identified a few ways, and hopefully you can resonate with some of them and gone, actually, this would be a great way of how we could implement a new service and reap the benefits of a unified communications tool. So let's talk more about what unified communications is. And to do that, I thought I would actually show you a platform in use. So what I'm showing you here is a service called Horizon Collaborate. So this integrates into the UK's leading hosted PBX, which is called Horizon. And this is the unified communication bolt-on associated to that. So you can see here that I've got all of my contacts in one place. I also have my visible status here. I could also upload a photo if I wanted to share that with all of my colleagues. So this is really the social section. So this is telling everyone my name. I've got my status, which I can also change at the drop of a hat. So if I wanted to tell everyone I was going to be busy, I could do that. Or if I was to, let's say, make a call out, it would also tell everyone that I was going into a call. So this automatic setting here, that will automatically change when I receive or when I make a call, or if I join a conference, it will tell everyone in the organization that's what we're doing. We have the ability here to search for a contact. So if I just type in Greg here, it's then going to show this is Greg Price in your contacts, and I can see actually he's in a meeting as well here. We've also got the ability to search for people. Now I've got 3 teams set up in here, and I also have my contacts. So I've got my Horizon sales team here. So if I need to get hold of someone in my team, I can very quickly do so, and I can see what they're up to as well. And I can also, for some of my colleagues that have it enabled, I can see where they're based as well. So if I wanted to have a quick chat with Harry over instant messaging, I can do so over here. Hello on demo. Hopefully he won't say anything too silly back to me. And if he said, oh, actually, Liam knows more about this subject, I can very easily just drag and drop Liam into there as well. Or if I wanted to very quickly have a chat with everyone, I can just hit chat, and then that generates a chat with all of those people in there as well. So again, a very quick way that you can initiate communication internally within your organization. This also has my historical call list, but also my voicemail. So when people call my mobile number, or they call my landline number, all of those voicemails go into the same place here as well. So I can see that I've got an unlistened to one here from Ben Manning, but all of these other ones are listened to. So it's a visual voicemail that I can play back, and I can also delete from here as well. We then have all our historical chats that I can reserve. So I can quickly double click on that, and then it will open up the chat box. Or if I want to use this as just a traditional telephone, I can easily dial numbers from here as well. So I can just, dial a PSTN number that I wanted to call, or maybe even a mobile number as well. So again, that's how you do your basic functions of your contacts, and you can search for people as well. Now, we've been talking about conferencing and the benefit of being able to conference, so I'm going to show you what that looks like now as well. So every single Collaborate user will have something called My Room. So if I click on this little button here, this is My Room Conference. I can see here I've got someone in that we don't necessarily want, so I'm going to dismiss all participants from there for now. So that's another little feature you've got. You've got the ability to dismiss everyone that you need to. So this is my conference room. If I wanted to, I could drag people into this and drag and drop them in and say, please join my conference room. Or if they knew that, let's say we had to join a conference at 5 o'clock, all they would do is hover over my name and then press this button, and they would come into my conference. Now, depending on whether I've got my lobby open or closed, that will dictate whether they show as waiting in a waiting room or whether they'll come straight in here. And that's, again, very easy to toggle that on and off. When I start seeing people arriving into the conference, I can initiate the voice element of it, and I can also initiate the video and screen share from here as well. So what I'll do now is just show you what it looks like when a third-party person joins our conversation. So at the moment, this is conferencing internally. So anyone within my organization, I can drag and drop them in, and they can jump into my room just simply by clicking on My Room Conference here. But if we want to conference with people outside of our organization, potentially suppliers or customers, we can do so from here as well. So all I need to do is press this button here. This will generate an email. All I need to do is send that to the contact, and they'll receive this here. Now, simply all they do is click this link. So just do that, and that will open up in Chrome over here. So we'll just minimize this. So they'll now be greeted with this welcome page to join the conference. So if I just type in Joe Smith and then join room, we'll see Joe Smith welcomed in here. And we've also got the participant joining as well. Now, all that Joe Smith needs to do is hit this button, cool, and I'll hit this button here, and then we'll all be joined into the room on our conference. Or I could very easily share my screen here, start sharing, and then it will start sharing over here as well. So exactly as you see it happening, what I'm seeing on my screen, this participant would see over here. And if we think about, what's happened in the lion's share of 2020, I've lost count of how many times I've been able to use video conferencing and screen share and web collaboration to get stuff done. And when we haven't been able to meet up face to face, this is an absolute lifesaver of being able to share your screen and join that conference. And again, this is not a new concept, but I think this is definitely something, having it integrated into the phone system where it's simple plug and play, has been an absolute lifesaver for everyone in our organization. If I want to, I can very quickly stop the screen share, so I now have control again of what people see. And I can, if Joe Smith is annoying me, I can put him on mute, or I can also dismiss him as well. And it just says your conference now finished. So that's how you end a conference very, very simply as well. So that, in a nutshell, is how you have a conference on Collaborate, how you use it. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact RHM who will be happy to arrange a bespoke demo for you. But thanks very much for your time. Thanks for listening. Yeah, thank you very much.